two favorite Cap nerds. Cap nerds forever. Field and Bill.
A new league record, 19 assists in a game as we go to the All-Star break, where Caitlin Clark will play against the Olympic team. About to be a Caitlin Clark weekend and a Caitlin Clark year, but she said no to the three-point contest. Why is a question I'll ask this panel. And yes, the greatest athlete of the 21st century list. Kevin Clark, what did you just say as we sat down? You can't do it. You can't rank athletes in different sports.
Can't do it, Tom.
Not with that attitude, you can't. Let's go around the horn.
You can rank your favorite panelist, Tony.
Wings 101, Fever 93. All gas, no breaks in this game. The game decider, Arika Ogunbowale, flick of the wrist to beat the shot clock. They looked at it. It came down to one frame between good and no good, and that's how Dallas upsets Indiana. Caitlin Clark, the record 19 assists, another record in this superlative rookie season, but it came in a loss. Kevin Clark, you're a Clark. What does this record mean?
It's an exaggerated version of the entire Caitlin Clark WNBA experience, a historic accomplishment on a frustrating night with a frustrating result. 66 points scored or assisted on last night. That's a WNBA record, breaking Diana Taurasi's record from almost 20 years ago. Speaking of Diana Taurasi, she was right. Reality is coming. What is reality? It's giving up 28 points off of turnovers. It's having a defense that can't play. Right now, they are a bad team with a bad infrastructure. This is the worst they're going to be, but this is hugely frustrating for everybody right now.
But you didn't even mention the assist record there. To you, this is about the loss to Dallas. Kevin Blackistone, how about you?
Well, it's a marvelous assist record, 19 assists in a game. Something else that Caitlin Clark does very well is distribute the ball. We've seen that since she was in college. And it's also a reminder, once again, Caitlin Clark, for us, of those greats who came before her. Courtney Vandersloot, who originally set the record a few years ago, set it by passing it to her wife for a three in the corner, Allie Quigley, which I think is really cool. But I think at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is such a competitor, and she's fighting to get that team into the playoffs. They've been on a roll for the last 17, 18 games. I'm sure she would trade that assist record for a W, which is what Vandersloot, by the way, got in her game.
David Dennis Jr., what does the single-game assist record mean for Clark?
Kevin's second cousin, Caitlin, came into the league, known for her three-point shot, but she came in as one of the best passers we've ever seen in college, and now she's already one of the best passers we're seeing in the WNBA. And the thing that is helping to unlock that is the Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston combination, which I said at the beginning of the season was going to be devastating. Aaliyah Boston was 9 for 11 off of Caitlin Clark assists. They are working in tandem. They are working like a well-oiled machine off the pick and roll, and they are only going to get better. Caitlin Clark has toned down some of those turnovers. She's getting the ball to a lot of those players. They're able to catch and adapt to her. This team is only going to look up, even though they're going to have some of these bad losses on the way.
And Emily Kaplan, about the record specifically and Clark overall, I guess as her first half of a season ends. What did it mean?
Okay, well, I think Caitlin Clark hated last night, actually. David mentioned her turnovers. She leads the league in turnovers and had a costly one last night, slammed a water bottle after it. I think that's what she's going to remember. For the rest of us, we're looking at this as a signature moment in a remarkable rookie season. We all knew the type of shooter that she was, as David mentioned. I say this without commentary in the Rookie of the Year race. She has more 20-point nights than any other rookie combined. But to combine that with her passing and her complete game, which needs to work on the turnovers, but a lot of it's there offensively, we're witnessing the beginning of something really transcendent.
And you could see it to your first point that she wasn't happy. On the bench with 17 seconds left in the game, did get out of reach there. Why are we having a timeout? Let's just go. That's a competitor. But she will not be competing in the three-point contest this All-Star weekend. And that's our next topic I want to talk about. The All-Star weekend, of course, it's the Olympic team versus the WNBA stars, and that's going to be a big deal on Saturday. The three-point contest has been a high-profile event. Last year, Sabrina Ionescu setting the all-time record, and it was a big deal. But here, the Associated Press reporting Both Clark and Ionescu turning down the league's invitation for the three. Clark turning it down, Ionescu turning it down. David Dennis Jr., around the horn to you. We've seen all leagues struggle maybe with having their stars compete in these skill competitions. Just this week, home run derby, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani said no. Dunk contest every year in the NBA. How do you consider Clark reportedly saying no to the three, and how should the league feel about that?
Yeah, I don't like it when the stars do not do these competitions. I didn't like not seeing Aaron Judge and Ohtani. I don't like seeing the LeBrons and the Zions in the dunk contest. But especially right now for Caitlin Clark, this is a missed opportunity. And as much for Caitlin Clark as it is for all those people who spent all that time talking about how could Team USA not have her on the team, because how do you grow the game without Caitlin Clark? This is another opportunity. What are they going to say now? Because Caitlin Clark has opted out of an opportunity that will grow the game. We saw when Ionescu broke the record for the three-point competition, she grew the game and it became a mainstream moment. And so Caitlin Clark is opting out of that. Don't tell me she's tired because you wanted her on Team USA. Don't tell me she doesn't want attention, because if she was on Team USA, she'd be getting a lot of attention. There's really no excuse for her not to go out there and shoot a few threes for the betterment of the game that everybody says is so desperate for her to make grow.
Emily Kaplan, how do you consider Clark reportedly saying no to the three-point contest?
So I know the way that it works in the sport that I cover, hockey, where the NHL spends weeks behind the scenes negotiating with players, convincing them to do it. Like, do you think that Connor McDavid wants to do fastest skater every year? No, but he does it because it's good for the sport. So I think the league needs a better relationship with these players to convince them. As to David's point of, like, don't tell me that she's tired, I did hear comments that she made about this All-Star break where she said, I know I'm going to be really anxious about it, but I can't hold a basketball. I know, like, I need time away. It's been such a grind from her coming from the college season. So this is where the league needs to come in and say, look, it's just one more event. So, like, we just got to do one more and you're almost there. And unfortunately, she just didn't see the bigger picture there.
Kevin Clark, to you.
Well, the league could do something about it. Let's start here. The compensation for participating, $1,000 to be in it, $2,500 to win it. That's not acceptable. Every other sport has found that if you Godfather offer the players, you can get them into some of these skills competitions. Not all of them. The home run derby is not where it needs to be as far as star power. The dunk contest has lagged behind star power for years, but that's where you start. I'm totally disappointed with Caitlin Clark. If there's not a reason, if she's not worried about either rest or her form, you know, we see that sometimes with 3-point contest or home run derby participants sometimes. If there's not a reason that I have heard or that we're going to hear about, I'm really disappointed. She doesn't want to grow the game here.
And Kevin Blackistone.
Well, I'll give you this reason. This woman has carried the banner for women's basketball and for the W for like the last year and a half. She earned the right to take off a contest if that's what she wants to do. And it's not like she's not going to be there this weekend. In fact, I would argue that the All-Star game that's going to be played this weekend for the W is going to be the most important All-Star game we've seen, because she's going up against the very people who a lot of us said she deserves to play with. So this is going to be a real All-Star game and not just something where people go out and throw the ball off the backboard and have people do crazy stunts. Give her a break.
One more thing here, the new media rights deal. League and its partners reported to be over $2 billion over 11 years. That would be doubling, tripling nearly what it's been. But Player Union Executive Director Terry Jackson had some comments I want to get your take on. We look forward to hearing how the NBA came to a $200 million a year valuation. There's no excuse to undervalue the WNBA again. KB, how do you hear that? Do you see that as contentious? What does it mean?
It better be contentious. Terry Jackson, this is her moment. She has a league behind her right now, and all of us watching we've never been at this point before. So this is an opportunity for them to get as much from the NBA as they absolutely possibly can. 2025, their contract, their CBA is up, so you've got that also in your back pocket to slam down on the table. She's absolutely right. We know that the W has been undervalued for many, many years. We know also that they're getting a boost right now of about 233% in their contract annually over what it has been. That's a huge number, but they were starting from such a small number to begin with. This is proof. We know it. We've seen it with the valuations of some of the franchises like Seattle, that their time is here and they deserve.
So do you believe the league is being undervalued in this report? It's just a report now of $200 million or so in the valuation a year.
That certainly doesn't sound right, given all the attention that we're giving to this league right now, rightfully so, and talking about Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson and all the other stars, Angel Reese. Absolutely, they deserve
David
more.
Dennis Jr.?
Yeah, this feels like an undervalued assessment of the WNBA. And I'm with Jackson here. I want to see how they came to this number, because when I'm looking at the ratings, when you're looking at what people are talking about, when you're watching attendance, you're seeing something that financially should be going through the roof. And one of the problems is, with all that money coming in, only 10% of that trickles down to each of the players' pockets. So we're now at a point where we may possibly see about may see a first $1 million player. That should have been happening a long time ago. You can't tell me Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, Angel Reese are not worth more than that.
Emily Kaplan?
It's no longer acceptable for women's sports just to be on TV. It's okay for them to demand what they're worth. But overall, I think we're seeing overcorrection for the lack of media coverage in the past. Landmark deals now for NWSL, women's college basketball tournament, women's Euros are going to be on Fox. I do wonder why the PWHL, by the way, is on a national TV in Canada and can't get a deal here in the U.S. I think that's a massive oversight for women's hockey.
Mm-hmm. And Kevin Clark, back to the question I asked, do you believe this is contentious? Yeah. Could we be going down a road here where there is a disagreement?
It sounds like a warning shot, and it should be, because they will never have more leverage, the players, than going into this CBA opt-out in the next couple of months. Franchise values are skyrocketing. There's a proof of concept that Americans want to tune in for this sport. Everybody knows the momentum that women's basketball has right now, and I think that they need to negotiate from a place of strength, because they'll never have more. They've never had more momentum than they have now. They will have more momentum in the future.
We've been Horn. We'll take a break here. Coming up, the top 100 athletes of the 21st century. Oh, it's so hard to rank athletes from different sports. You're not in the mood, you get in the mood. This is the business we've chosen. Let's go around the horn. SEC Media Days.
How about Coach Saban? Who you got?
Well, I think Georgia and Texas. You know, I believe in our Alabama team, too. I just think the question marks in the secondary, until those get resolved, it's hard to sort of jump on that bandwagon.
He would get mad at me if I felt the way about what he said, because he always used to say, don't let some guy that lives in the house, live in their mom's basement, determine how you feel. So I'm not going to let a guy who played golf all day determine how I feel.
Bama lineman Tyler Booker with some heat for his old coach. Buy or sell Saban's pick, buy or sell Booker's response.
I'm buying Nick Saban. I think he's attacking his analyst career with the same intensity as his coaching career. He watched more than 200 hours of film for the NFL draft alone. So if I'm a Bama player, I'm like, wait, what does he know and why did he choose this year to step away?
Okay. David Dennis, buy or sell Saban picking against Alabama and their response.
I'm selling Nick Saban, saying he's not jumping on the Alabama bandwagon. You built the bandwagon, Nick Saban. What are you talking about? What I am also buying is that Nick Saban is taking this job so seriously that he's making an objective opinion, and it's probably right. But still, Nick, you can lie, find that lie. Somebody.
Whoa! This is the angle you want to take here, Kevin Blackistone. How about you?
Who on that panel knows more about Alabama football than Nick Saban, who's been around it the last 16 years? I absolutely love that answer, and but I love the response from the player even more, paying attention in those film sessions.
And Kevin Clark.
Buying Nick Saban as an analyst, great analysis. Having said that, selling his take. Alabama is really good, and Kalen DeBoer is a great coach. He made the national title game last year with a less talented by recruiting metrics team than this one. Number 3 overall transfer portal class coming into this year, retaining studs like Kalen Proctor going into this season. Next year, they have the most 5 stars.
All right, you have him over Georgia? You have him over Texas?
Yeah, I have them over Texas. I have them over Texas, Georgia, and Alabama's Jesse title game. I also want to shout out, thank God there's somebody on ESPN who talks with their hands more than me. Welcome, Coach Saban.
Yeah, he gave us one of these. Hey, even if he was being hypercritical, maybe that's just yummy rat poison for Alabama to ingest and then get motivated by. We'll move on. All right.
He's still motivated.
The 100 greatest athletes of the 21st century poll that we put out at ESPN. Here's the vote. Wow, if you thought the top 90 or the last 90 had debates, here they are. The top 10. They're all the big names, singular names. We're going to go back. You saw Kobe at 10, Bolt 9, Tiger 8, Biles at 7, Federer 6, Brady 5, LeBron 4, Leo Messi 3, Serena Williams 2, and number 1, greatest athlete of the 2000s, Michael Phelps. Kevin Clark, have at it.
Impossible exercise, but even within those parameters, I think they got this one wrong. Messi is number 1. If you're going just by what we're talking about here, he is the best athlete, maybe the best ever in the world's global sport, the most played sport on earth. How could he not be the best athlete if you do that? If with those accomplishments, the World Cup, all the championships, I just feel like it has to be him. Phelps is not relevant except every 4 years.
Kevin Blackistone.
I just don't see how he's number 1.
I was just looking at that list, seeing 20 names, and I'm thinking, we're getting ready to go to Paris, Olympics, track and field, and Allison Felix, the most decorated woman, the most decorated athlete in the Olympics for what she did in track and field, 100, 200, 400, all the relays, not even in the top 20.
No, she was
That's the
63.
problem with-
She was number 63. I think she was right behind Shohei Ohtani, number 62 on this,
Whoever put this
on this
together, get
list.
these people
But let's
out of
have the
here.
debate here. All right, but you don't have Felix at number 1. Who's your number 1 of the last 2000?
I could go with Messi, I guess.
Good. That's the conviction I want from my panelists here on Around the Horn. Let's go, David. This is what our show is founded on. These types of debates. Go, please.
Lock it in. Serena Williams, number 1. How's that for conviction? All the majors, everything she came back from, and the only person on the list, to my knowledge, who won a major while pregnant. That should put you number 1 with the bullet.
All right, and Emily Kaplan.
Yeah, I echo David. That's something Messi did not do. Serena, 319 consecutive weeks at number 1. But also Tiger Woods, 2 different stretches of over 260 weeks at number 1. Both Serena and Tiger changed the way that we view their sport, changed the way that the sport was played. And so they unequivocally should be number 1, in my opinion, over Michael Phelps, who only had
Tied for
relevance
number 1. Is that what you're saying? That you have a tie for 1 then? You said they.
I unequivocally believe in ties. They can be okay.
Well, tell me how you feel about that way in Showdown. Buy or sell 3, Philadelphia Union's Kevin Sullivan. Let's talk about the youngest MLS player ever.
All score for the Red Bulls as a 15-year-old. This is the way soccer should go in this country.
Kevin Clark.
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal. This could be the path forward for MLS. Have a player in for 3 or 4 years, then he goes off to Europe. Sullivan has a deal with Manchester City. He'll go there when he's 18. He might go to continental Europe before that. But I think developing a pipeline here where you start your career and then you go over to Europe, I think that could be
Emily
really
Kaplan.
special on the way forward for the national team.
He's better prepared than Freddie Adu, who was billed as the savior and made more money than any of his teammates before he even played. This kid came up through academy. MLS is in a better spot. And the biggest deal is that he is committed to Man City.
David Dennis Jr.
Big deal for Cap. Bigger deal for Mom and Dad Sullivan, who watched his big brother score a goal and then watched the son become the youngest player to play, and he got a shot on goal, and they hugged him afterwards. Incredible
That's a
moment.
pretty great all-time day for the Sullivans. Good job out of them, of course. David Dennis Jr., Kevin Clark. Thank you for your time. Emily Kaplan, Kevin Blackistone. That's our showdown next. The Kaplan, Kevin Blackistone, good luck in showdown. One more day of All-Star break, but I can't wait. So I'm going to go big right now. Second half AL team you have most faith in. 3 of them right now tied with 58 wins. Guardians, Orioles, Yankees. Who do you have the most faith in the second half, Cap?
It's got to be the Yankees. If there's any team that knows how to buy themselves out of a problem, it's New York, which is going to be big spenders at the trade deadline. There is no way their management's wasting this type of season from Juan Soto and Aaron Judge.
Sure about that? KB, how about you?
Well, they got to be bashing heads with the Orioles, so I'm not really confident in either of those teams. Give me the Guardians, who we never think about at this time of year, and you get to the end of the year and they're in the playoffs. Jose Ramirez has been great. They need to shore up their pitching, and they'll be just fine.
Incredible answers that I were not expecting. Kaplan, this is what you wanted. You wanted a tie in showdown. This is what we got right now. The answer was the Orioles, guys. We'll move on. Showdown 2. British Open, round 1 in the books. It was a tough day for some big names. U.S. Open champion Bryson DeChambeau, 5 over. U.S. Open runner-up Rory McIlroy, 7 over. Tiger, 8 over. Scottie Scheffler, though lurking near the top of the leaderboard, had a better day than those. What's the takeaway from round 1? Stone.
Oh, for me, it's got to be Rory McIlroy. I mean, the last time we really saw him, he was blowing the U.S. Open, just walking away in frustration. And here he is on his soil. This should be your deal. Is he ever going to get another major? Come on.
Emily Kaplan.
I also picking Rory, but I felt like he centered himself in Scotland last week. And then to have this performance is so disappointing. As a new golfer, I just find it so humbling that the pros are just like us. So I hope he can take solace the same way I find solace on the golf course. High noons, a couple high noons tonight. It'll be okay.
We do have a deduction here. Of course, Rory is Northern Irish, not Scottish. So Emily Kaplan, a capstone win.
So Rafael Nadal beat Cameron Norrie in straight sets this morning, and then I was so excited to find out that he is playing with Carlos Alcaraz at the Olympics. Now, Alcaraz said he's going to shut up and listen. He also has that Gen Z urge to do something spectacular and highlight-worthy every set, so this could be a potential farewell tour for Rafael Nadal. I think this pairing is going to be electrico.
Electrico. All right, that's it for us today. We're on a 23.5-hour break. See you guys tomorrow around the horn. Oh, that was